Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nyla. I'm a public health educator that is here to share tips and knowledge with you on the way to access the care that you need while saving money in the process. Today is a very special day. Today we have Florence Simon, who is going to talk to us about how to build your credit and about how to become financial literate. Welcome, Florence. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Your sister is the one who introduced me to you.
It's a small world, right? Thank you so much because she's definitely doing her thing. I'm proud of her.
Oh, I agree. But I'm so glad that you're here to talk about financial literacy because I think that is so important for us and like for us to know how to budget, for us to actually build up our credit. Especially, I would say this. That's really people of color. How we need to know how to manage our money and make sure that we know exactly what we are doing.
Absolutely. Our money, people will spend so much time trying to make money and they forget about their health. And so they use their money later in life to try to fix their health. And just having that balance is very important. And I didn't know that about that until a couple of years back. So definitely still a student in this.
Can you share with everyone what is your expertise?
My background is in industrial organizational psychology. That's what I went to school for. I was able to learn about helping people rebuild and build their credit and gain financial literacy so they can be able to make better life choices and not just have the stress that comes with lack of financial building.
How did you get into wanting to know about financial literacy?
It's a long story. Do we have time for it?
You can give the short version.
Absolutely, yeah. So back in 2014, I realized that my credit was terrible. And I was a single mother. I was in school. I was full-time work. And so hadn't made some good money choices coming from a background where there is absolutely no credit that you need back in Kenya. You just need cash. And so once I learned this, I had to pull myself together, get a second job, which allowed me to pay all of my debt. So I paid all of that off, but my credit just moved up by about 20 points. So I was still struggling. I put that in the back burner, got married. In 2017, 2018, we wanted to start a franchise with Joy, but that's when I realized that my credit was 607 and I needed to fix that. And so I came across a friend who referred me to the United Credit Education Services, and they helped me to have some of the derogatory items on my file removed and just allowed me to be able to learn more about money, learn more about budgeting, and I was able to rebuild my credit now to a 741. Realized it's not just me. Our people are suffering and I need to do more. So to me, it's just helping people to make that better move for their life.
What are some ways that you help people to become financial literate in healthcare? Because we know that this is such an important topic.
It really is. Back in 2017, my husband and I were able to enroll in the Dave Ramsey course that helps you to pay off debt. And one of the things that I learned is about having an emergency fund. Because when you have an emergency fund between 4 and 6 months, when something comes up, it's not an emergency. It's something you're able to take care of. And so just letting people know it's okay to plan for the future. It doesn't have to be an immediate thing. It is okay to foresee things that may come up and therefore plan for them. Therefore, you're not caught flat-footed and it doesn't affect you negatively.
Let's talk more about financial literacy and how it impacts health.
Many people do not understand how, or do not even realize how not having any kind of financial planning or knowledge really affects them. Finances are something that are going to affect our relationships. They're going to affect our health, where you'll gain weight, you'll have blood pressure issues and things like that, because there's nothing as helpless as having a need and not the ability to take care of it. We start with budgeting. just by acknowledging where each and every dollar goes will allow you to see the many loopholes that we have in our budget and where our money goes. I call it naming my dollar. If I have a name for every dollar I spend, I know where it goes. And if I cannot place it, then I have no business doing it. Another thing is just knowing about insurance. People do not want to deal with it, especially in our community. People don't want to deal with insurance, but it is the truth. If something happens to me, I want to know that my children are well taken care of. I want to know that the money that I leave behind is going to be assorted or allotted as it should be. And therefore, my will and my insurance have to go hand in hand. It's not something that we need to be doing like a GoFundMe to take care of some things that we need to have already planned about. Is it easy? No, you just focus, make it a goal, and think of it like just one of your bills that you pay, just like electricity. Back in 2019, my husband fell ill, and it was so interesting because we had just had our last baby in December of 2018, and in March we decided for me to stay home because now we had two young ones, and I just started staying home the beginning of April. And so 2 weeks later, my husband is on the floor, he's sick, and we had to have an ambulance come and pick him up and take him to the hospital. He was in there for a little over a week. He had pancreatitis, and so ended up getting some stuff done. So a lot of people will think, oh, I don't want to have like an ambulance ride. However, just knowing what is available to you can really help, because like the ambulance people, they said, oh, although it's going to cost this much, they cannot charge you more. That is in Colorado. He ended up feeling better, but the bill that we received, it was ginormous because you have a bill from your the hospital itself, the lab tests, and all of that. There are all these separate bills and follow-ups, and they all total to about $18,000. I decided, hey, let's call the hospital and see what they can do. We were enrolled in their financial assistance program. Out of the over $18,000, we ended up paying just a little over $3,000. It was a huge relief because that was like more than 6 times of what the bill was more than 6 times of what we were finally able to pay. So just having this knowledge that, hey, I can possibly do this. This is available to me. What does the state say about this bill? Can I fight it? And I'm glad I called in to find out about the resources we had, because we would have ended up in a really financial bind, not knowing how to take care of this ginormous bill and take care of our regular bills. So there are definitely resources out there.
So from that experience with your husband and having to go through the financial assistance program, that's what led you to want to help other individuals become more financially literate?
It opened my mind to just how much we do not know is available to us from what the employer has available, applying for your short-term benefits ahead of time so you don't skip a paycheck, knowing what your policy covers and does not cover, and just being able to negotiate these bills, because they are big, yes, but a lot of people don't think they can even negotiate a medical bill and have it lowered so you can be able to afford it. So that was definitely an eye-opener for me.
So when you went from a 2-income household to a 1-income household, you could totally feel the financial strain after you having your last baby. I read that there are some mothers who take unpaid maternity leave and go into extreme debt after having a baby. Can you explain how that can be avoided?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things to learn about is what coverage is there for you. What does your employer provide? What does the state provide if you don't have an employer that covers extra items? However, thanks to Obamacare, a lot of employers, even if you have just one employee, they were mandated to have coverage for pregnant women and the accommodation thereof. And so knowing the coverage that is available to you is very important. As somebody who has 3 children, kids are expensive. Planning ahead so that you can either get a second job ahead of getting pregnant and having that kitty available to you, because finances and new children, they cause a huge strain on relationships too. So how can we avoid that? The first thing is to avoid having unplanned purchases. A lot of people you'll see like trying to buy, oh, we drive a sedan, we need to have an SUV because you have a baby. No, that baby will fit in a sedan. Save your money, because that's an extra bill that you have to pay, right? Get life insurance, because should anything happen, or should you have any kind of accident, like so many women of color experience when during childbirth, and let's say you're left without any way of catering for your family, you qualify for your accidental death or dismemberment. So you will have that payment to be able to take care of these bills for you. So those are a few things that people can be able to look into, realistically apply it, because having children, it's a blessing and it's also an expense.
How can you help people to understand their financial responsibilities so their bills don't go into collection?
It doesn't hurt to ask for help, because if you don't ask, you'll not know what is available to you. That is one thing. And also keeping the hospital or the creditor in the loop, because as long as you're talking to them and letting them know, first, I asked for help. Okay, so let's say you moved from a $5,000 bill and now you're down to 1,800 maybe, and therefore continue to work with them. Can I spread this out so that the entire lump sum is not sent to collection? So you have that payment arrangement with them, and when you cannot make it, it is okay. Let them know. One of the things that I've noticed about hospital bills or medical bills, they're not immediately sent to collections. There has to be a really elongated time where there is no communication or payment as agreed. And they are always willing to adjust or modify the payment arrangements that are in place. So letting them know what is happening on the ground, and when you cannot be able to meet an obligation, asking them to allow you more time, that is going to help to not have that bill go into collection. So just being proactive about it and knowing what is available to you by, number one, asking, then you'll be able to avoid the bill from going into collection and affecting your credit.
Speaking of credit, I forgot to ask you, how did you get your credit to go up to the 700s from 607?
I had paid so much, all of my debt. I paid all of my creditors. The only bill that I have and had left by the time I was getting married was just my student loans, which I still have. And so after paying all of that, they still reflected on my account as charged off, closed. Yes, they had been charged off. Yes, they had been closed, but I paid the collection company and it was never updated. So what United or UCES, United Credit Education Services, what they did for me was to all 3 bureaus to have these items deleted. It may not be deleted on the first set of letters, but by the 3rd set of letters, these items are falling off your credit and the numbers are going up. That is one. Secondly, I had gone since 2013, I did not have a credit card. I did not believe in credit anymore because I felt that it had hurt me, but I'm the one who misused it from lack of knowledge. So I started with getting a secure credit card, and the company works with First Progress, and you're able to get a secure card ranging from $200 all the way to $2,000, and continuously making the payments for it. I saw that my numbers kept going up. And so those are the 2 things that I can say really boosted my credit, because I really did not have anything that was still outstanding other than my student loans. But showing that I was still active with my secure credit card actually allowed me to just qualify for a 10,000 credit card the other day, and it was pre-approved. So just being smart about it. It's a numbers game and not letting it run you instead.
So what are some takeaway for people watching to know how they can be more financially literate and how they can boost their credit?
Ask for help. Help is always there. Go to your state website, see what is available to you to give you some reprieve. If you're a new mother, I know like in Colorado, we have a respite center where you're able to take your child in there for like 2 hours and get a few minutes to yourself. Because when you're really stressed out, you don't even think outside the box. You can only see the stress that you currently have. So just having those few minutes to yourself, they will allow you to sit down and look at your budget. Look, where is our money going? Reporting your rent is also important. Not many people know that you can be able to report your rent and it will be looking just as if you have a mortgage. It's one of the largest bills that we use, and yet it only shows on your credit if you have an eviction. So that is something that you can get kudos for doing. Planning ahead, I did not grow up with planning ahead. However, I have learned that planning ahead changes an emergency to a regular bill. And one of the good things to have is life insurance. Do you know some of the companies that were able to survive during the Great Depression was because people had life insurance and they were also able to withdraw from it, you know? So looking at it not just as, oh, it'll be there when I die. No, look at it as an investment and then tapping into it for yourself, for your children and your generation. Therefore, I know my child, they will not have to deal with student loans and they will not have a problem putting down their 20% when they're buying a house. Why? Because we want to give them that generational wealth, and it starts from learning about how to even do it in the first place.
That is something my husband and I talk about all the time. Generational wealth is so important, especially for us, we as people of color. And
Yes.
we are like lagging behind. So Florence, you've given such great information to help people to become well-informed and be on the path of financial literacy. How can everyone find you?
Creditautonomy.com. That is my website. You'll find me on Facebook, on Instagram, creditautonomy.com. And that is also the website that has a lot of information on the products that we have available, tools that people can use to help themselves and also help them restore their credit once they start.
Thank you so much, Florence, for coming to my channel. Thank you for sharing all this information, all this great information about financial literacy. Hopefully everyone else actually learned a lot. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you. Bye, everyone. Bye.